Sophia never expected that day to turn out the way it did. It started like any other birthday morning. She woke up to Daniel making her pancakes, wearing the same silly apron he always wore when he cooked. He kissed her on the forehead and told her to get dressed because he had something special planned for the evening. She thought it would just be a cozy dinner, maybe a few close friends, a nice meal, and a slice of cake. But as she walked into the restaurant that night, she realized something was different. The lights dimmed, the room filled with people clapping, and a loud surprise echoed through the space. Daniel had invited everyone, her family, her coworkers, her childhood friends, even people she hadn't seen in years. There were banners, candles, flowers, and a huge cake with her name on it. She was overwhelmed but touched. Everyone kept smiling, hugging her, and telling her how lucky she was to have someone like Daniel. For the next hour, the celebration continued. There was music, laughter, and glasses clinking. Sophia moved from table to table, chatting with people, thanking them for coming. Daniel stayed close, his arm always around her waist or holding her hand. He looked happy, proud even. But then Sophia noticed something, or rather, someone. A woman sitting quietly at the back of the room. She was dressed nicely but didn't look like she was in a party mood. Her eyes were red, like she'd been crying. She wasn't mingling or taking photos like everyone else. She just sat there, sipping her wine, occasionally glancing toward Daniel and Sophia. Sophia didn't recognize her. At first, she assumed maybe she was someone's plus one or an old friend of Daniel's. But it felt odd. She seemed tense. Out of place. Like she was trying to be invisible. Sophia leaned over and whispered to Daniel, "Hey, who's that girl in the navy dress at the back?" Daniel turned to look and quickly replied, "Oh, that's Maya. She used to work with me. I ran into her at the cafe yesterday. She said she didn't have plans for the weekend, so I told her to come. Just being nice." Sophia nodded, but something about the way he said it didn't sit right. He spoke fast, too fast, and avoided looking her in the eyes. Still, she brushed the feeling off. It was her birthday. She didn't want to ruin it with unnecessary doubts. Then the music stopped. A soft piano tune started playing. Daniel stood up, tapped his glass with a fork, and asked for everyone's attention. Sophia was confused at first, until she saw her mom covering her mouth in excitement, and her best friend Emma pulling out her phone to record. Even her dad was smiling with watery eyes. That's when she realized what was happening. Daniel turned toward her, got down on one knee, and pulled out a small velvet box. Everyone gasped. "Sophia," he began, "these past 5 years with you have been the best years of my life. You've stood by me through everything, through the good, the bad, the boring, and the chaotic. You've made me a better man just by loving me. So tonight, on your special day, I want to ask you, will you marry me?" Gasps, cheers, and clapping filled the room. Everyone turned their phones to capture the moment. Her hands trembled. Her heart pounded. She looked at him, smiling, waiting, and she said yes. Tears rolled down her cheeks. Daniel stood and slid the ring onto her finger. The crowd cheered louder. People hugged her, snapped photos, and music started up again. She couldn't believe it. It felt like a dream. But then, as the crowd began to move again, Sophia looked up. And she saw Maya. Still sitting in the same spot. Still not smiling. Still watching. Sophia made eye contact with her for a second. And in that second, Maya looked away and stood up. She walked toward the restroom, but not before Sophia saw it, tears in her eyes. Not just watery eyes, actual tears rolling down her face. Sophia blinked, unsure what to think. Later in the evening, when things had calmed down, Sophia tried to find Maya to thank her for coming. But Maya had already left. No goodbye. No congratulations. Just gone. As they drove home, Sophia glanced at the ring on her hand. It sparkled in the light from passing cars. Daniel held her other hand, smiling, humming along to the radio. He seemed relaxed. too relaxed. "Soph," he asked gently. "You okay?" "Yeah," she said, forcing a smile. "Just tired." "It's been a big day." He nodded and kissed her hand. "I love you more than anything in this world. I'll prove it to you every single day." Something in the way he said that made her pause. The words were sweet, but they didn't feel real. They felt rehearsed, like he was trying to convince himself. That night, Sophia lay in bed staring at the ceiling. Daniel was fast asleep beside her, breathing softly. She turned her head to look at him, this man she had just agreed to marry. He looked peaceful, innocent. But in her heart, she couldn't stop seeing Maya's face. Not her own face during the proposal. Not the smiles. Not the joy. Only Maya. Quiet. Hurt. Crying. And for the first time, Sophia didn't fall asleep smiling. She fell asleep wondering what she'd just agreed to. Sophia woke up the next morning to dozens of missed messages. Everyone was congratulating her. There were posts online with hashtags like #Shasades and #Safiadnielforever. Her engagement photos were everywhere. Her phone buzzed non-stop with friends tagging her and leaving hearts. But even while she smiled at all the attention, that one image wouldn't leave her mind. Maya. Crying. Leaving. Alone. Sophia tried to shake it off. She reminded herself that not everyone is good at hiding emotions in public. Maybe Maya was going through something personal. Maybe she had just broken up with someone. Not everything was about Daniel. Still, it didn't feel right. Sophia went through the tagged photos from the party. One of them showed the moment Daniel was proposing, with the crowd clapping behind them. Sophia zoomed in. In the back, Maya wasn't clapping. Her arms were folded, her eyes red, her mouth tight. Sophia's heart started racing again. It was just a photo, but the feeling in her chest got heavier. Later that afternoon, while sipping coffee and sitting alone on her apartment balcony, Sophia's phone buzzed with a new text message from an unknown number. The message said, "You're really going to pretend last night didn't happen?" Sophia froze. No name. No explanation. Just that. Her mind started racing. She thought maybe someone sent it by mistake, until she tapped on the profile photo and zoomed in. It was Maya. Her chest tightened. She felt heat rising to her face. What was this? Was she talking to someone else and sent it to her by accident? Or, was it meant for Daniel? Sophia didn't reply. Instead, she stared at the message, then opened Daniel's contact and stared at his name for a long time. She didn't want to overthink. She didn't want to jump to conclusions. But something in her gut told her this wasn't just a misunderstanding. She waited until Daniel got home from work that evening. He walked in holding flowers and takeout, still in a good mood from the party. He kissed her on the cheek and said, "You've got the glow of a bride already." Sophia laughed lightly and said, "Hey, who else did you invite to the party?" "I saw Maya left early." Daniel paused for half a second, barely noticeable, but it was enough. "Oh. Yeah." She said she wasn't feeling well. "Probably just overwhelmed." "She gets anxious in crowds," he replied, walking to the kitchen. His voice was casual, but the answer felt too practiced. Like he'd prepared it. Sophia didn't push. She acted normal the rest of the evening. They ate dinner, watched a movie, and laughed together. Everything looked perfect on the outside. But inside, Sophia was anything but calm. When Daniel went to take a shower, he left his phone on the couch. Sophia had never gone through his phone before. She respected his privacy. But this time, she couldn't help herself. Her fingers trembled as she picked it up. She opened his messages. Nothing from Maya. Nothing unusual. But when she checked the recent apps, she saw a private messaging app she didn't recognize. She tapped on it. And there it was. The same conversation Maya had mistakenly texted her about was right there, with her name, her photo, and everything. Dozens of deleted messages. But one thread was still open. Maya, you said you were going to end it before proposing. I won't stay quiet forever. Sophia couldn't breathe. She felt dizzy, like the air had been punched out of her. Her throat went dry. Her eyes blurred. But she forced herself not to cry. Instead, she took screenshots. She sent them to her own phone and deleted the sent notifications so Daniel wouldn't notice. Then she calmly placed his phone back on the couch. When Daniel came out of the shower, towel drying his hair, he smiled and asked, "Everything okay?" Sophia looked up from her book, forcing a smile. "Yeah. Everything's fine." He kissed her head and sat beside her. And all she could think was, how long has he been lying to me? The next morning, she sat at her desk with her laptop open, wedding sites pulled up, and her phone buzzing with bridal boutique suggestions from friends. But Sophia wasn't planning her wedding anymore. She was planning something else. She didn't want to explode in anger. She didn't want to confront him while her emotions were still raw. She wanted answers. She wanted to be sure. She wanted to understand everything. Why Maya? How long had this been going on? And why, knowing everything, would Daniel still propose? That question hurt the most. Because it meant that Daniel wasn't just cheating. He was calculating. He was willing to stand beside her, look into her eyes, kneel down in front of her whole world, and lie. It wasn't just betrayal. It was manipulation. Sophia opened her phone, looked at Maya's message again, and stared at her photo. She needed to meet her. But not to scream. Not to attack. Not even to blame. She needed to look her in the eyes and ask one simple question. Did he ever say he loved you? Because if the answer was yes, then Sophia would know the truth wasn't just an accident. It was a choice. And Daniel had made it long before he ever bought that ring. The next morning, Sophia woke up before Daniel. She stared at the ceiling again, just like the night after the proposal. But now, her heart wasn't full of love or confusion. It was full of quiet fire. She had the screenshots. She had seen the messages. She had heard the lies spoken with a smile on his face. But she didn't want revenge. Not yet. She wanted clarity. Daniel stirred beside her. "Good morning, future wife," he whispered, pulling her closer. She didn't move away. She smiled softly. "Morning," she replied, just like any normal fiancé would. She wanted him to believe she hadn't seen anything. Because if he dropped his guard, she might get more answers. While Daniel showered, Sophia sent a short message to Maya. "Can we meet? I won't attack you. I just want to talk." There was no reply at first. Hours passed. Sophia kept checking her phone every few minutes. Doubt crept in. What if Maya blocked her? What if she had moved on and didn't want to get involved? But just before sunset, her phone buzzed. "Okay. Tomorrow. 3 p.m. There's a cafe near Crescent Park. I'll be there." Sophia didn't tell Daniel anything. That evening, she smiled during dinner, laughed at his jokes, and even posted a photo of them watching TV with the caption, "Nothing better than love and leftovers." But inside, her thoughts were locked on that meeting. The next day, Sophia left the house early, telling Daniel she was going to meet Emma to look at wedding venues. He kissed her goodbye and handed her a folder with some venue suggestions he'd printed from the internet. "You're amazing," he said. "I'll prove I'm the best decision you've ever made." Sophia smiled at him. "I'm counting on it." She walked away without flinching. At 2:58 p.m., Sophia arrived at the cafe. It was quiet, tucked between a bookshop and a flower store. Soft music played in the background. She sat by the window, heart pounding. At exactly 3 o'clock, Maya walked in. She wore a simple black coat, her hair tied back. She looked tired, but calmer than before. She spotted Sophia and walked over slowly. No smiles. No anger. Just tension. Sophia stood up politely. "Thank you for coming," she said. Maya nodded, sitting across from her. "I wasn't sure I should." "I understand," Sophia said gently. "But I just need to know the truth. Please." For a moment, neither of them spoke. The waiter came and left. Maya's fingers trembled slightly as she held her coffee cup. Finally, she spoke. "I didn't know you. I didn't mean for this to happen." Sophia didn't respond. She waited. Maya continued. "I met Daniel at work about a year ago. It started with flirting. Texts. Late meetings. You know the story." Sophia clenched her jaw but stayed quiet. "I asked him once if he had someone. He told me he did, but that things were fading. That you were drifting apart. That you didn't pay attention to him anymore. He made me feel like I was what he needed." Sophia looked down at her coffee. "Every time I asked him if he was going to break up with you," Maya went on, "he said yes. Soon. He even told me he was saving up to move out." Sophia raised her eyes. "So you thought you were building something real?" Maya nodded. "I did. I believed him. But when I saw the photos from the proposal, I felt like a fool." Sophia inhaled deeply. "Why didn't you say anything sooner?" Maya looked away. "Because I didn't want to believe it. I kept thinking he'd come clean. That he'd call it off. And after the party, when he didn't, I sent that message. I thought I was texting him." Sophia leaned forward slightly. "You were crying at the party." Maya's voice broke. "Because I realized I was just the secret." They sat in silence again. Then Maya whispered, "I loved him, Sophia. I really did." Sophia's hands curled into fists under the table. It hurt to hear that. But somehow, she respected the honesty. "Did he ever say he loved you?" Sophia asked softly. Maya nodded slowly. "Yes. More than once." Sophia felt a sharp pain in her chest. Not because it was unexpected. But because it was real. Because Daniel wasn't just cheating. He was living two lives. Maya reached into her bag. "There's something else." She pulled out a folded piece of paper. Sophia opened it. It was a printed email. Daniel had sent Maya a list of future baby names. Her hand shook as she read names like Ella, Lucas, Noah, and next to them, notes like "Maya likes this one and sounds good with our last name." Sophia blinked away tears. "He planned children with you?" Maya swallowed hard. "He said he never wanted to be a father with anyone else." Sophia's heart shattered silently. She folded the paper, placed it back on the table, and said quietly, "Thank you for being honest." Maya wiped her eyes. "I'm sorry. I really am." Sophia stood up and took a deep breath. "I don't blame you. I know who lied to both of us." Maya looked surprised. "You're not angry?" Sophia smiled, but not a happy smile. "No," she said. "I'm focused." Then she turned and walked out of the cafe, the sound of her heels sharp and steady. Outside, she pulled out her phone and opened her wedding planning folder. She created a new note at the top of the list. Step 1, keep planning the wedding. Step 2, let everyone watch. Step 3, let him walk into it himself. Step 4, end it in front of every person who believed the lie. As she walked toward her car, Sophia felt her hands stop shaking. Because for the first time since Daniel proposed, she was in control. Sophia spent the next few months carefully playing a role. To the outside world, she was the glowing bride-to-be. To her family and friends, she was happy and grateful. And to Daniel, she was the woman of his dreams. She smiled when she needed to, kissed him on the cheek in front of his mother, posted photos of them laughing at cake tastings, and even sent him "thank you for being mine" texts late at night. But inside, she was building something else. Not a wedding. A truth bomb. She planned the ceremony with all the usual excitement: venue, dress, music, invitations. Every detail was perfect. Daniel had no idea that Sophia already knew everything about Maya, the messages, the baby name list, and the late-night promises he made to someone else. And the best part? She kept him close. So close, he didn't even see it coming. Sophia decided the wedding wouldn't be postponed. It would become the ending. Not of their love story, but of his lies. She kept in touch with Maya too. They didn't become friends. But they shared something now, something ugly, raw, and real. Maya agreed to stay quiet until the time was right. Not for revenge, but for closure. The big day arrived. The venue was gorgeous. White roses everywhere. A lake in the background. A clear sky. Everything looked perfect. Guests started arriving early. Sophia's family was full of joy. Daniel's friends were laughing and taking photos. Everyone believed they were about to witness a fairy tale ending. Sophia got ready in silence. Her makeup was flawless. Her hair was styled just the way Daniel loved it. Her dress fit like a dream. She stood in front of the mirror and stared at herself. Not because she was nervous, but because she knew who she was now. Not someone begging for love. Not someone afraid of truth. Someone who had chosen dignity over silence. The music began. People stood. Phones came out to record. Everyone turned as the double doors opened and Sophia walked down the aisle. Daniel's eyes teared up as he saw her. To him, this was the happiest moment of their life. He had no clue he was walking into a storm dressed in a tuxedo. Sophia stepped toward the altar, holding her bouquet steady. Her steps were calm, graceful, deliberate. She looked like a bride walking toward forever, but in her heart, she was walking toward closure. The ceremony began. The officiant welcomed everyone, spoke about love and trust. People smiled, nodded, dabbed tears. And then came the part where the officiant asked, "If anyone here has any reason why these two should not be joined in holy matrimony, speak now." The room went silent. For a second, Sophia wondered if Maya had lost her nerve. Then, a voice broke the silence. "Yes. I do." Everyone turned sharply. Maya stood at the back of the room. Her face was calm. Her voice didn't shake. She looked directly at Daniel and said, "You promised you would leave her. You didn't. Now she knows." Gasps filled the room. Someone dropped their phone. Daniel turned white. Sophia didn't turn to look at him. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She calmly turned toward the officiant and said, "I will not marry a man who lies to two women for over a year." She handed the bouquet to her maid of honor and slowly removed the ring from her finger. Then she turned to Daniel, looked him straight in the eye, and whispered loud enough for the crowd to hear. "You were never planning a future. You were just playing with lives." She dropped the ring into his hand and walked away from the altar. Her dress swayed behind her like a banner. Her heels clicked on the wooden floor. But no one said a word. The guests were frozen. Shocked. Some covered their mouths. Some whispered. A few even started clapping, slowly, quietly, like they were proud of her strength. Daniel stood still, clutching the ring, unable to speak. The officiant lowered his book. Maya quietly turned and left before anyone could reach her. Sophia exited the venue and stepped out into the sunlight. She didn't look back. Not once. That evening, back home, she posted a single photo. Her wedding dress, draped across a chair. No caption. Just one sentence in the description. "I said yes to myself this time." People flooded the post with support. Messages came in from friends and strangers saying how brave she was. Some even shared their own stories. Daniel never responded publicly. He disappeared for a while. Some said he moved out of the city. Others said he tried reaching out. But Sophia never answered. Not even once. She didn't need closure. Because the real closure wasn't in words. It was in walking away from something that was already broken, before it broke her. Final note. Sophia never wore the dress again. She donated it. She never removed Maya's contact, but she never messaged her either. And she never regretted walking away. Because some weddings don't end in I do. Some end in I knew. And those endings are the beginnings of something much stronger.